Okay, good morning everybody. Today we are going to learn about series and parallel circuit. Okay, if we are talking about series and parallel circuit, we also talking about current. Current is there because of voltage and resistance. Okay, so these three terms, these three quantity must be remembered that the current is also there because of voltage and resistance. So today is about series and parallel circuit. The first is series circuit. Okay, so what is series circuit? To answer what is series circuit, we have to learn first about, first is resistance, okay, and the second resistance. We put this first, the sign of the first resistance is R1, R2, okay, and then there is a symbol of voltage here. See here, voltage V1. Okay, that is saying this one is V or voltage. So the current that flows through the circuit is flowing from the positive sign to the negative one. Okay, it means that the current I is flowing from the high potential difference to the low potential difference. Okay, so now what we are going to find is what is the current through each of the resistance. So the current that flows through each of the resistance, let's say I1. I1 is the current that flows through R1. I1, okay, is the current that flows through R1. I2, okay, let's say I2 is the current that flows through R2. Where I tell you that I1 is equal to I2 is equal to I in series circuit. Okay, so the current that flows through the same path will have the same number of current. The current that flows through the same path will have the same number of current. Okay, so the second thing is about voltage. That the voltage in R1 or voltage in R1 is equal to the current that flows through R1 multiplied by R1. Okay, so the voltage that is in R2 is equal to what? VR2 is equal to the current that flows through R2 multiplied by R2. Okay, so this is about series circuit that we must know. The second thing is parallel circuit. Parallel circuit. Okay, so if we first learn about series circuit, the second is parallel circuit. What is parallel circuit? It divides voltage, but it divides current. Yeah, it divides current, but it has the same voltage in each. If the resistance is the same. For the first is like this. If I have two resistance, let's say R1 and R2, okay, and voltage here and voltage here, okay. So if the R1 is the same with R2, then say R1 is equal to R2, okay, then we know that the current that flows from the high potential difference, which is positive, to the negative one, okay, in here, in this point, the current is divided to the right side and going up. Okay, so if this is I, that will be divided, the current will be divided into I1 and I2. So we can say that the input current is equal to the output current. So what does it mean? It means that the input current that into this point I is equal to I1 plus I2. What does it mean? It means we obey the rules or the law of Ohm's law. Sorry, not Ohm's law. It is the Kirchhoff. The first Kirchhoff's law. Okay, this is the first Kirchhoff law that says input current is equal to the output current. Okay, now later what we are going to find is that the voltage in R1. What is the voltage in R1? The voltage in R1 is equal to the voltage in R2, which is equal to the main voltage V. Okay, so the voltage will be the same in each of the resistance because it is in parallel circuit. But remember, this must be the same. Okay, so now what we are going to find is what is the current I1 that flows to R2. Okay, so to make us easy, let's say this one is I2 and this one is I1. Okay, so what is the current in R2, which is I2, for example, is equal to the current in here is equal to R1 plus R1 plus R2 multiplied by I. Okay, and I1 is equal to, if we find out I1, which will be the second resistance in here, R2 plus R1 plus R2 multiplied by I, or the main current. Okay, so this is about series and parallel circuit. We give example here. The example is, okay, if I have voltage like 10 volt here, okay, so it is known that the voltage is 10 volt and the R1 is equal to, let's say, 5 ohms, and R2, let's say, is 2 ohms, and this is connected in parallel circuit. So it is asked what is the current I1, what is the current I1, what is the current I2, and what is the VR1, what is VR2. Okay, so if we answer this, we are the picture is the same like this. Okay, the picture of the question is the same like this. So for the first A, I1 is equal to R2 divided by R1 plus R2 multiplied by I. Okay, multiplied by I. So it is equal to R2, which is 2 plus R2 plus R1 is 5 plus 2 multiplied by I. What is I here? I is not, the question does not tell you about I, but we can find I here. Okay, by the formula, I is equal to V divided by R, which is equal to V 10 volt divided by the total resistance. The total resistance when it is in parallel will be like this. Okay, let me tell you that this will produce the total resistance, which is R1 multiplied by R2 plus R1 plus R2. Okay, so does it mean that means that 5 multiplied by 2 plus 5 plus 2 is 10 plus per 7. So this is 10 per 7, and 10 multiplied by 7 divided by 10 is equal to 7 amps. So we put this number in here. So I1 is equal to 2 plus 7 multiplied by 7, which is equal to 2 amps. Okay, and I2 is equal to that formula, R1 plus R1 plus R2 multiplied by I is equal to R1 is 5 plus 7 multiplied by 7 is equal to 5 amps. Okay, so the total number of the current is I1 plus I2, which is equal to 2 plus 5, which is equal to 7 amps, the same number with the total number of the current that flows through the circuit. Okay, so what about this part C? For the part C, okay, VR1 is equal to the VR2, which is equal to the 10 volt. Okay, so for the parallel circuit, all the voltage are the same with the main voltage, which is 10 volt, and for the current, it is divided into 2, 3, 4, or it depends on the branch of the circuit. Okay, so the main thing that you have to know about the parallel circuit, that the components of the current, which is 5 and 2, the sum number of the current, or the total number of the current must be the same with the main current, which is 7. You see that 2 plus 5 is 7. Okay. Okay, this is all about series and parallel circuit that I can tell you. Okay, may this will help us to understand about the lesson. Thank you.